Hi, I'm Jane Frizzell. This is Basic Military Riding, and we are going through the U.S. Cavalry Manual from 1935. The reason why we use the 1935 edition is that post-mechanization, the instructions were dicked with. And if you follow the instructions in a few places from later editions, your horses will be stuck and not forward. I'll try to get to that another time, but just for now, we are using US Fort Riley 1935, always pre-World War II, and Saumur 1912. Last time I was talking, telling you about section 27, and we're going to stay in section 27 for a little bit longer because it's really huge and it's very important, I should say, and it is very absent in the mind, the horse world mind these days, and getting a hold of it again and getting it top of mind will make an enormous difference for those riders with ears to hear. So back to section 27, which in the manual is titled The Basis of an Equestrian Language. I'm going to read what it says at the very beginning of it. In order that man may transmit his wishes to the horse, make use of the animal's intelligence, and thus govern him, it is necessary to establish between them a sort of conventional language which the rider may easily learn and utilize, and which the horse may as easily understand and accept. So that's a win-win. The language that the rider may easily learn and utilize are the natural aids: the voice, the seat and its weight, the leg, and the hand. The horse is also taught the meaning of these four natural aids, just as a human child would learn a language by the association. So they learn their very first thing, like they learn the letter A, and then they learn it stands for apple, and then they learn that it has other applications. Application starts with A. Okay. This language, and I really want you to hold on to this idea that the riding is a language. Equitation is a language. This language is based on the law of association of sensations. The law of association of sensations is a way to describe human language and horse language learning from a French doctor called Le Bon. I can't remember his first name. I think it might have been Gustave of all things. Le Bon, B-O-N, Dr. Bon. Okay, this is what he said. This language is based on the law of association of sensations. Quote, when impressions have been produced simultaneously or have immediately succeeded each other, it is thereafter sufficient that one of the impressions to be presented to the senses, that it is therefore sufficient that just one of the impressions be presented to the senses in order for the others also to be called to mind. Somewhere in these instructions, I'm not sure, I don't think it's in this section, somewhere in there, it just says point blank, the most valuable feature of the horse's intellect is his memory. That is our most valuable tool or asset in teaching the horse, is their memory. Now, if they are taught crappy stuff, it's bad because they have a really good memory. They will just as easily learn wrong things. So That is why learning this stuff early and in advance in a rider's education, I don't know where to look. I don't know where to look, there or there. It doesn't matter. The memory is very important, and they are able to call to mind what, if you bring up a topic, they're going to remember everything they knew about it in the past. Okay. For example, if a horse moves forward at the cluck of the tongue, it's because one day he saw a whip, felt the string of the lash, and at the same time heard the cluck. Whenever the last sensation affecting only the hearing, the cluck, is alone presented, those of sight and touch will come immediately to his mind, and he will move forward as he did under the effect of the string of the lash. So that should seem very obvious, but it is so rarely produced deliberately by the so-called horse trainers of today. But what happens in this program that we operate and is spelled out in these manuals, not only the Fort Riley manual, the Saumur manual, but also the HDB 12 from Germany and Colonel Podolsky's instructions from Vienna, and take your pick toward a Quinto. They're all the same. They all are built on this idea of it's a progressive learning. So the very early ideas the horse have, those early ideas are so, so important. Now, I'm just going to read through some of these paragraphs. And it's going to sound like I need to be edited because they're in a weird order, but really it's the manual that never got edited. But it's still filled with treasure. Listen to this. Actually, I'm going to say this separately. This should be its own paragraph. The movements that the horse executes naturally under the influence of the aids are very few. That you could write in the margin. Go back to section 14 where it tells us about go, turn, stop. Go, stop, turn right, turn left. The movements that the horse executes naturally under the influence of the aids are very few. It is the combination of these very few basic ideas, a combination of their effects, that spells out the entire range of what a horse can learn and do, which is enormous. It's a famous trainer once said to me, because I thought when he explained the aids to me, it sounded pretty simplistic. There's just seat, leg, hand, if you're not even talking about the voice. And the seat can only do three things. It's either right or left or level. And the leg is usually at the girth, left or right or both. And the hand, if you're pretty much of a purist and stick to leading rein, opening rein, and bearing rein, there's just not that many combinations. And I think I counted up 26 combinations. So I was a little bit feeling smug, like, yeah, I can memorize those and I could teach those. That's not very complicated. He turned around and looked at me. He said, yeah, Val, there are only 8 notes in music. So think of that. Yeah, Val, there are only 8 notes in music. So these are simple. Go, right, turn left, stop. Pretty simple, but there's only 8 notes in music. And is my turn 16.5 degrees, or would that be 17? Is it 33 degrees? Is it 45 degrees? Is it 90 degrees? Is it a 180? Like all of those degrees of everything get spelled in as long as the basis, the simple basis, is intact and clear to the horse. The most docile horse cannot obey his rider's commands if he does not understand them. This puts, I'm watching the time, this puts the onus of clarity and understanding on the rider trainer. And I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in these pages. It says most of the time the rider is incoherent. But when we follow the system as it's laid out, we're calling it it's the forward riding system. That's what they called it. It's not what I call it. The forward riding system. It is a system and it is successive. And so it isn't incoherent. You'll start having a situation where you'll say something new to your horse and your horse will go, oh yeah, I remember that from blah, 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 blah. Is that like this? And you said, yeah, but just a little more. And he'll say, okay. It's that simple, but you have to have this part down. And most people are not even recognizing that it's a language. They think it's a relationship. They think it's body language. It's not body language. It's not charades. It's actual language. Okay. It is by building upon the principle of the it is upon the principle of the association of sensations or ideas cited above that one may construct the language which makes for this indispensable understanding. Sight, hearing, touch, and even taste successively come into play, and each has its part in the education. So this idea of a successive, progressive learning is important, and I'll get back to that next time I see you.